Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so honored to be here receiving this award on behalf of my grandfather and also my father. And thank you so much, Bill, for the beautiful introduction. And how about this incredible Automotive Hall of Fame team? Aren't they awesome? Detroit is very lucky to have the Automotive Hall of Fame here, and I now live in California. In some ways, I regret that I don't still live in Michigan. It's really exciting here. I wanted to say a little bit about my grandfather. I was very moved by the tribute video, and in addition to the semi-trailer that they invented, they also invented the automatic fifth wheel hitch, which is still in use today. And if you think about it, everything in this room was transported by truck trailer. And it is sort of the, as Mr. Bombasi was saying, it's the unsexy part of the automotive industry or the trucking industry. And it was also extremely important. It made the American economy expand following the Great Depression, and even earlier than that. I mean, a manufacturer in Detroit could all of a sudden send his products to Chicago and St. Louis and beyond. And Fruehauf, early on, their key motive was pleasing their customers. In fact, that's how they invented the semi-trailer to start with, because their biggest customer, Frederick Sibley, had a problem, and they solved it with good old-fashioned engineering know-how. And I love that about the Fruehauf story. I came to it because I was really looking for information about my father, who I lost when I was a little girl of 7. And what I discovered was not only some amazing information about my father, who is an amazing leader of the company, very progressive in his foresight, using plastics early on and titanium to reduce the weight of the trailers. But he was, very much a risk taker. He took the company into Europe in 1975 when the company. In 1997, when the company went out of business, I think because a family member was not at the helm, it was ranked the 75th largest company in the world. And that's pretty stunning from a blacksmith in Detroit in less than 100 years. Thank you. And that was all came about, the 2,000 patents, 150 of them for the military alone, that came about because of innovation, listening to customers' problems, and solving them. The shipping container was created on a napkin in a cocktail lounge with Malcolm McLean and my father, who had a problem because in the trailers that were shipping liquor, the longshoremen were robbing him blind. So he wanted to come up with some device that would prevent that, and that was the shipping container. And Fruehauf actually financed Sealand, which was the company that Malcolm McLean owned that sold all the containers. And Fruehauf, it doesn't get recognition for a lot of that. I think they were really the unsung heroes in the transportation industry. I'd like to recognize two gentlemen who came here tonight who are longtime Fruehauf representatives, Mike Davis and Doug Gaddis. They worked at Fruehauf, one for 45 years and one for 28. Would you please stand? And both of them, I started my history project, as I said, because I was looking to really understand who my father was, but what I discovered was how much I loved the engineering. And it's so exciting to learn about all of these various technical things and crawl around in junkyards underneath trailers looking at torsion bar suspension and spring shackles. And, I know about Picasso and Rembrandt and not about these technical things. But it's been wonderful to really develop an appreciation of the engineering. Maybe it's my German DNA. But what I also have discovered were all around the country, I've gone to various cities where there were Fruehauf branches and meeting the employees, and they were dedicated, hardworking, devoted guys for the most part, and also women who really made the company great. And so the history is really shared by the employees. Of course, it's my history as well with my family, but it's really the history of the employees. And I'm really grateful to all of them, not just Mike and Doug, who have helped me on my journey piecing together the bits of history in our 2 books. And we have book 3 and 4 on the way, too. Fruehauf's inventions for the military were also amazing. I mean, think about it. The Allied soldiers all of a sudden had go-anywhere transport. They had trailers that were made into Bell, with the partnership with Bell Laboratories, communication vehicles. They had mobile hospitals. They had, you name it, mobile kitchens and mess units. And that was mail delivery trucks. I mean, everything that you can think of. And also with Chrysler, they developed trailers for radar, which really effectively ended World War II. The trailers were used to haul the radar units, and then they were raised by hydraulic devices to the roof for use. So they were so innovative, and I love that about America and Detroit in general. I mean, they didn't just go to the corner store and buy a hinge, they actually fabricated it. And later on, Fruehauf actually developed their own parts and their own component suppliers. They were the largest component suppliers to other competing trailer companies. I have an exhibition at the Detroit Historical Society. On the opening, someone in the audience asked a question, how large was Fruehauf? And one of the head salesmen was in the audience, and he said, well, if you were a company, you had 3 salesmen, one from Strick, one from Hobbs, and one from Fruehauf. And Fruehauf owned Strick and Hobbs. So it was really a huge company. And I'm also very excited to say that the global entities are still in operation, and they've been very supportive of my history work. Fruehauf of New Zealand has been really supportive, and also Fruehauf of Mexico, and their representatives from Fruehauf of Mexico here too. Would you please stand, Scott and Don? Thank you. And they are bringing the brand name back into the U.S. market. Isn't that awesome? Thank you. So, of course, you can imagine how excited that makes me. Although you still see Fruehauf trailers on Detroit's roadways with some of the big, huge, giant 11-axle dump trailers, those bathtub dumps. That was one of my father's last projects. So anyway, I'm super excited that Fruehauf of Mexico is moving forward, and I didn't dream any of this would be possible when I wrote my book 4 years ago. And anyway, I'm so honored. I'd like to also congratulate all of the other honorees, and thank you very much to the Board of Directors. This is really a thrill.